You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? You know, Lin Dunn finally speaks out, tells us what her game plan. She went in WNBA locked on. They do a great job over there, and looks like that's their inside track, and they've got the Fever News as they'll bring it out. And Lynn discussed a couple things. She talked about, what are we going to do? How are we going to win the championship? When are we going to win this championship? And how it's all going to come together. And that was pretty much powerful stuff. And the reason I say that is because Lin Dunn has her finger on the pulse. She talks a little bit about Caitlin, talks about a few things that are coming down with the
Howard,
Fever.
You are the stat man. You've got the information. You've definitely done your research, and I love the statistics, the data that you've just given us, because it's impressive. It's very impressive. And I think, how did we go from struggling early to where we are today with those statistics? And it takes time. People don't understand that growth takes time. And so over a period of time, Clark had to adjust to the physicality of the league. She had to adjust that she was going to be guarded every night by everybody's number one toughest defender. I mean, look who's guarded her: Copper, Benijah Laney, Carrington.
Okay, so you got Lin Dunn breaking it down. Lin Dunn's going through the process of elimination. What adjustment Clark had to make. What did she have to do, and how did she have to do it? Okay, here's the deal. Fever started off 2-9, went 9-6 after the break. But here's how it works, folks. And here at the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, we're going to take you behind the scenes a little bit, and we're going to bring it to you. I've seen a lot of basketball in my lifetime. I've seen a lot of things orchestrated. And you can orchestrate just about anything in professional sports. And the reason I say you could do that, because it's entertainment. Okay, it's entertainment. It has media. It has views. It had viewership. So you can orchestrate just about anything. Here's the deal, though. The Indiana Fever got caught off guard. They weren't prepared for the impact, which is understandable. However, when you talk about making Clark never adjusted. Okay, Clark's been the same the entire time. All right, and this is where fans can, everybody gets off track, and you can move it around 100 different ways. The bottom line is this: the Indiana Fever, they received Clark. They weren't prepared. Lin Dunn wasn't prepared. Christy Sides wasn't prepared. They had to go get help. And I've watched a lot of basketball games, and I can go tell you this flat out. You watch the Indiana Fever, first 10 basketball games, and you tell me all of a sudden a miracle came out of the sky and said, guess what? We need to change this offense, and this is how we're going to do it. And I had a dream last night. That didn't happen, folks. You got some very knowledgeable people in the state of Indiana. You got some very knowledgeable people in the NBA, and you got knowledgeable people can put this thing in the right direction. That's what happened, okay? Now, here's the deal. What comes of that? It all works under the umbrella and the organization. So you can't take that away, because as an organization, it doesn't matter who gets the job done, as long as the job does get done. And when you listen to it and you talk about Lin Dunn, that's kind of what she said. Folks, this is a universal effort. I want you to listen to this because, I can tell you this straight off the cup, and I'll be very honest with you. Christy Side's going to be coach of the year. Okay, no doubt.
Toppest defensive guard is, they're going to be all over Clark from the get-go, not to mention the traps and the double teams and the switches. And so it was a learning curve for her. And I am very impressed with how she grew through that period of time and became very mentally and physically tough with the things that were thrown at her. And
now, folks, you got to put that in perspective. Okay, in life I've seen a lot of stuff. I really have. And they're talking about how tough is on Kayla. Here's the deal. You send her out there to dry. There's no doubt about it. And finally, like I said, as a miracle, the basketball gods visited Indiana Fever facility. And there's no coach in America is going to send a guard out there, play 40 minutes, and have her go up against pressure all the time. So it was orchestrated wrong. Really, if you look at it, and it should have been done correctly, Clark should have started out the two-guard spot. Okay, then Mitchell was your guy. You let her run it, and then you eventually work her into it. But here's what the Indiana Fever, they just said, hey, you know what? Go for it. You go for it, Caitlin. And then all of a sudden you just started saying she's got bad habits. She got this, that. Folks, that's none of that. It's coaching. It's coaching. Now, here's the flip side. When you do work for an organization succeeds, which they're going to do. Here's the flip side of that. Now you get the help, and Christy Side's going to be coach of the year. Okay, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I've seen a lot of sports orchestrated. I can tell you the Las Vegas Aces were orchestrated. Okay, Becky Hammond coming out of the WNBA, coaching with Greg Popovich, align that team up for Las Vegas to win. That's called orchestrated. Okay, you got the NHL hockey team. Las Vegas wins a championship just out of the blue. You got all these organizations existing for years. That's called orchestrated, folks. Take a listen to Lin Dunn, and I'm just bringing it to you. I'm not trying to chase it or move it or do anything different. The truth just stands for the truth.
Period of time, she and Boston are learning how to play together. And then also, Kelsey Mitchell is learning how to benefit from the fact that Caitlin now has the number 1 defender on her and the number 2 or 3 defender is on her instead of the number 1. And so that's creating opportunities for her to get open that she hasn't had a lot of.
Okay, so there you got it. You're talking about Kelsey Mitchell getting open. Kelsey Mitchell not getting open. Kelsey Mitchell's going one-on-one. Okay, flat out one-on-one basketball. If it works for the Fever, it works. If Lynn's happy with it, you know what, and Christy's happy with it, then it's their job to make it succeed. If it doesn't succeed, then you make adjustments. But at the end of the day, folks, I can take you back. Let me take you back a little ways to something that's really, really, really interesting for me. And, when you look at it and you see it and you kind of go to yourself, man, how did that happen? How did that happen? How did it work? Okay, because the Indiana Fever, they knew they were getting Caitlinclark, okay? And what happened was they didn't expect it to be the turnout. They didn't expect it to get what they wanted, okay? So how's it all work, folks? If you really want to know, and this says the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, I have done this time and time again. I'm going to bring you here something that's going to be different. And I'll tell you this, the Indiana Fever, okay, our Lin Dunn is planning on a championship within, let's say, 3 years? That's her target goal. I think it's going to come before that because I just think the team, they need one acquisition. And if the team gets that one acquisition, guess what? It's a wrap. It's a wrap. That's a 2-guard, 6-footer, and coming in there and going. Now, when you get to the league and you get to the NBA and how it all works and how's it all coming together, let me tell you the biggest orchestration that I've ever seen, okay, and it was huge, okay, and I could speak directly to it, okay. I'll talk to you about Kobe Bryant, okay. Kobe Bryant went to the L.A. Lakers in an orchestrated trade, okay. There were so many people involved in that trade to get him to the L.A. Lakers. Everything just had to fit just right. And if it didn't fit right, then it wasn't going to work. But Jerry West, grassroots, okay, communication, okay, guys moving draft pieces around, they were able to land Kobe Bryant. That was orchestrated, folks. That wasn't just the Lakers drafted him. So when you look at this thing and you look at it and you say, okay, I got Caitlinclark, man, this is orchestrated. If you can't tell me America is not going to tune in. Now, here's the thing that people got to realize because they talked about the Olympics, and I heard it. Okay, we got 3 million fans, right? We got 3 million fans that are going to watch the Olympic team. Here's the deal, folks. Okay, the Olympics is already drawing fans. The Olympics draws millions and millions of fans, okay? The true test of the record is in the gold medal game in Tokyo, I believe it was, they drew 8 million. Let's see if they get past the 8 million. Okay, because you have to understand there's 2 different concepts here in the WNBA. Okay, and when you talk about 2 different concepts, and you're talking about Lin Dunn. Okay, and when you talk about Lin Dunn, you just have to understand the fact that you got to orchestrate this out. There is no get-rich-quick scheme. Okay, but you got players, you got agents, you got a lot of people that will communicate and get this thing under control. Now, when you get all the agents together, okay, because here how it works. They did it in Las Vegas. They're going to do it in Indiana. And at the end of the day, it's just entertainment. What do the fans want to see? Because there's 2 different things you gotta really look at here. Okay, are you trying to grow the game? Okay, and I don't want fans to get confused when you say we're trying to grow the game. Okay, that's different than saying, are you trying to grow the WNBA? Okay, because the Olympics is growing the game. Okay, the Olympics is there to grow the game. You got the viewers who are watching gymnastics. They're watching gold medals, and really there's no money in it. There's none of that revenue that comes out of the Olympics will come back and be going back into the WNBA unless you win the gold medal. Okay, but other than that, there's no money. I mean, the Olympics has been around for hundreds of years. Okay, and it runs itself. Okay, so to make it or utilize a statement, oh, the WNBA got 3 million fans watching the game. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, because the real target is going to be, can you get to the 8 million? Okay, the 8 million that you had in the gold medal game. So I project the women, if they're saying if they are what they are, they're going to do about $10 million in the gold game. Now, it's not much of a goal game. I mean, come on, folks. You go play a game. I can't even get teams. All the events I hosted, I can't get teams to come in and play my event if we beating everybody by 50. So it's not that big of a deal. They're 8 straight. They can go 25 straight, and eventually, I see somebody like Japan or something doing it. But here's Christy Sides going to be the coach of the year. Okay, you got Christy Sides going to be the coach of the year. What does that mean? Okay, that means that she's going to receive the award. It's going to be a 3-year plan. It's a 3-year plan. That's what Lin Dunn is breaking down. She's telling us, look, this is how it's going to work, and you're just going to go through the orchestrated event, and it is what it is. But I'm really glad, Locked On, great job getting Lin Dunn on and hearing what she has to say and how she's looking at it as the general manager.
So it's just a growth process that takes time and that takes patience. And so I think where we are right now is exactly the type goals that we had. It was get better. Can we get better from the beginning of the season to the Olympic break? Can we compete every night, no matter who we're playing, whether they're more talented than we are, whether they're bigger, stronger? Can we compete? And then can we fight as we go along for a playoff berth? That's what this team's trying to do. We're trying. 3 years ago, we were the last in the league, and then we were next.
There you go. 3 years ago, you're last in the league, no doubt about it. You get Caitlin-Clark, and you're competing. You're trying to get in the playoffs and win. Okay, this is an orchestrated event. I'll tell you right off the bat, I mean, Indiana Fever, if you ask me, they're going to need about a 6'2" guard, put the ball on the floor, go downhill, okay, and can play defense and got active hands, okay? You're going to need a 3 that can put it on the floor, go downhill, and shoot it as well and play the 3 and D position. Okay, so a lot of this has to be orchestrated out, and you know what? You'll hear me talk about Swartz, Excel Sports Management. Well, he's got partnerships. There's no doubt. Clutch. I mean, you work a trade in the NBA. Clutch can work a trade with anybody. Okay, they can get Anthony Davis over there. They can get LeBron in there. They can get all kind of players because agents talk to agents, okay? And you get these guys together, they're going to figure it out. And they're saying, hey, we can help you. What do you need? Okay, I've got a player that wants to come over. Do you want to do this? Okay, what can you give back? This is orchestrated. I love the fact that, Becky Hammond, congratulations back-to-back, but that's orchestrated, folks. This is entertainment. You can't just move in a brand new city and all of a sudden you got a league of 26 years of existence and you go win it. I mean, think about that. You got a league of 26 years of existence and you go win the WNBA championship. This is going to be orchestrated for the Indiana Fever. It's well done, and it's going to be with the player that they want to do it with, and that's just how it works.
Last year we were 10th, and now we're trying to get to 6, 7, 8. So it's a process that can only happen through free agency, drafts, or trades. Well, when you're us and you spend 3 years out of our building, it's tough with free agency. People say, well, why haven't you secured better free agents? Well, we didn't have a building. We're playing in the barn at the state fair, or we're playing, who knows where. And so that's difficult. Now
you listen to that, what Lin Dunn is saying. This one got me too. I said, whoa, Lin Dunn. Now, you didn't have a facility to play in. So that's the reason you weren't winning. You didn't have free agents that wanted to come over and play. That's the reason you're not winning. The bottom line is, folks, you gotta have a marquee star, okay? And you gotta have a marquee star, somebody that players want to come play with. The Indiana Fever organization has been completely turned around because of Caitlinclark is good at basketball. Okay, what's the new ceiling? And these guys over here, you're looking at Howard Mary, great job, sports writer. I mean, he's got the inside track and does a great job. Listen to him a couple times. But the bottom line is, guys, you got it. There are so many things. The minute Jeff Swartz, this is Money Mike, the way I bring it to you, the minute Jeff Swartz stepped in the Indiana Fever building was the minute everything changed. The minute Clutch Sports stepped into the Laker building, everything changed, okay? These guys are powerful agents, very, very powerful agents, okay? They can move pieces around the WNBA because there's other agents that would love to work with them, and they're building that relationship. So that's how this all came about. But Lin Dunn, I give her credit because Lin Dunn's been around the block. She understands the game. She understands what she's doing. Her and the Indiana Fever, this is called home cooking. Okay, home cooking. This reminds me, like, I live in Chico, California. I got Aaron Rodgers. I know the family. I know everything about the family. Okay, so this is a whole different regime that you got to go through when it comes to this. And when you move a piece, like the Packers said, okay, we got Jordan Love. We gave him the biggest contract ever. But they moved him over to the Jets, and that's a new piece. There are players, I'm telling you, all-stars that will come play with the Indiana Fever, and that's what's going to change the game.
Our beautiful facility, our brand new locker room. We have something unique that other teams do not have. Everything is right there in that facility. We have access to 4 courts, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. So we're on a plan here to get back into playoffs and then and eventually be challenging back for championships, just like we did when we had Tamika Catchings. Are we still recovering from losing her? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. You can't lose a player like her and it not have a huge impact on you. But I like where we are. I like the growth of the players. I like the fact that we've got 4 players in double figures. The balance.
Now, you got 4 players in double figures. Let me tell you why. Caitlin Clark assists. Okay, all of this comes from Caitlin Clark. You know what? Here's the deal I got to tell you. And, you always ask me, and I try to understand, is there a difference between men and women? Yes. Yes, men don't have a problem. Men don't have as much pride. I think women got more pride than the men because men don't have a problem saying Michael Jordan was outstanding, man. He's a player. Men don't have a problem saying LeBron James is a king. Okay, but when it comes to women, man, they got a hard time being able to say how good someone else is. And it's a little embarrassing because, you have to realize that, in the game itself, the fans get to choose. Okay, now this is different for me because in the WNBA, the fans don't choose anything. The fans don't really matter. You watch it if you want. If you don't, who cares? Okay, that's just how it goes with the WNBA. Now, the new WNBA, that's going to be different. That's going to be different. Let me tell you why. It's because you got the players who are coming in. First of all, they're making more money. Okay, so really it's a detriment to go from the NCAA or come out early, okay, and go play, okay, in the WNBA because you're going to take a pay cut. Okay, you're going to take a pay cut. That's similar to Reggie Bush, played for the USC Trojans. When he got to the NFL, you got to take a pay cut, okay, because you're making so much money in college. Now, when you get to this level and how it all works out, how it all shakes out, man, I've never seen anything like it. Okay, it's like the women are more prideful. I mean, they have a hard time. I tell you what the women have doing. Okay, the men are easy, but here's the thing I'll tell you, back it up, and I'll tell you about the men. If the men were in the league playing against Michael Jordan, you'll never hear them talk about they're a fan of Michael Jordan. Okay, they're not going to talk about somebody that they're competing with. Okay, so when they were in the league and playing against Michael Jordan was not anybody's favorite player. After the fact that Michael has went on, retired, played the game, the players have got older, the men dropped the pride, and they just say, hey, man, Michael Jordan. Man, nobody wanted to get Michael Jordan upset. Nobody wanted to get Michael Jordan upset. Now, here's the thing that's going to go down with that, okay? Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen, okay, and you got to know it, you're just going to piss off Caitlin Clark. Now, when you piss off Caitlin Clark, that's your baby. I mean, that's your bubble you got to deal with, and she's going to be mean. They're going to take the gloves off her eventually. All this talking and everything everybody's doing, and how everybody's going around, and she's not saying anything. Like I said, this is not the same because we're not dealing with the racism and the change in the game. The first player coming in of Jackie Robinson in the movie 42. Okay, but eventually you look at the Dodgers owner and what he did is, you're talking about somebody that moved. He moved the team from New York. Okay, you got to look at that, right? He moves the team from New York to L.A., okay, and he gets the Giants to move with him. That's why it's so important in the WNBA. And when you hear me talk about the WNBA and the Sacramento having a franchise, okay, the reason they did that is you have to have a franchise that's really a competitor. Now, the Dodgers and the Giants been competing for years. Caitlin Clark is right now, MVP of the league. There ain't nothing stopping her. There's nothing stopping her. Chrissy Sides Coach of the Year. Chrissy Sides going to bump it on up. I mean, the team's going to have a higher record, most improved. Okay, there's no doubt about it. Lin Dunn's at the helm, and I know Lin Dunn, and I know what Lin Dunn's capable of doing. Okay, Lin Dunn, she gets it. There's no doubt about it, and she's going to take it down to the river. She says, we didn't have facilities. We didn't have this. You didn't. One thing you didn't have Caitlin Clark. And when you don't have Caitlin Clark, everything changes. Okay, there's no doubt about it, and that's just the way it works. And they're going to orchestrate some trades. I'll tell you, the biggest one I ever seen in the NBA was Kobe Bryant going 13th to the LA Lakers. Okay, every team, man, there was so much movement and so much communication, okay, to get the Black Mamba to be on the Lakers. You would be amazed how much grassroots was involved in that deal and how they make it happen. Now, here's the deal with the WNBA. I'll keep it 100% that you haven't seen hit yet. The grassroots basketball hasn't hit, okay? And the way it works in the NBA, man, you know what? You find players, you go out, you train them, develop them, and they pay you a lot of money to do it, okay? When they get the money and they turn it loose on the WNBA, when they turn that money loose to grassroots on the WNBA, and you got players, because here's the thing the women really need to do, and I'm just going to call it as I see it, and I don't know why the women do it. I'm still confused because you got the best players in the world. Why do you practice against men? Why does the WNBA practice against men? I don't understand that. Why is the WNBA practicing against men when you got all these great women ball players? It's like a slap in the face. Heck, you might get a chance to get a player in there and get a workout, and all of a sudden you got them in there and you like them. I mean, and you got to adopt the model. You know why? Because the NBA is constantly holding workouts. I mean, they get a player who's not in shape, rehabbing. They're going to bring it in, and they're going to bring that player in, and they're going to work them out with the team. Okay, but when you get to the WNBA and it's practicing against men and all this stuff, I don't get this. I don't see the advantage of when you get a chance and you're in there and you're going against a competitor and you feel that you got no men, okay? You got no men that can actually do what women can do. And it's a different game. You're not going to play a man in the game. So, I mean, if the WNBA wanted to get better, let me tell you what you could do. You can get right in there and you can go in there and you can actually play against women and you can succeed. You don't have to play against men. I don't get that. And I'm not a fan of it, but they do it. I don't know if it was a college thing when you got it there at UConn and all this kind of stuff here. I'm not really sure, but why the WNBA still practices against men, I don't know. That one gets me there because that was a college thing, and I don't think you need to do that anymore. I think there's enough players out there you can kind of pick and choose who you want to go with. So that's kind of my take on it. I'll bring it back. I'll wrap you up. They got 3 million fans. The Olympics already drawing the fans. There's no doubt about it. The viewership is at home. Viewership is at USA. And the two questions that I got, okay, is are we trying to grow the game? Or, second question, are we trying to grow the WNBA? Because that's two different things. That's two different premises, and that's two different things that take place. Now, obviously, Caitlin Clark, man, best thing that ever could happen. Okay, so why not orchestrate a championship for 3 years with the Indiana Fever? Lin Dunn's working on that. Christy Side's going to be the head coach. And then you got her here talking about what she's going to do and how she's going to do it. So it is what it is. But you got to understand this is how it works. It's nothing new. They've been doing this in basketball for years.
Growth of this team, and we're still really, really young.
There's so much upside there. I want to get into because again, both the recruiting and free agency, and we can't just gloss over Kelsey Mitchell. I want to spend a little time on her too in segment 2. We're back with much more with Lin Dunn of the Indiana Fever right after this. But first,
Locked On. That's a good show, folks.
Locked On
and when you get in there, folks, I'll tell you something, man. You know what? This Mitchell thing. I tell you, this Mitchell thing's going to heat up. I don't think she fits, but everybody likes her. So you know what? You live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. Okay, and that's the way it's going to go. I think, me personally, I like Mitchell's game. I will tell you this straight up. I saw Mitchell play harder in the All-Star game than she does for the Indiana Fever. Okay, so what she's basically doing is taking nights off playing for the Fever. Okay, and then at the end of the game, you try to show up. I seen her box out. I seen her guard people. I seen all kind of things that Kelsey Mitchell can do. And I can tell you, as a scout, as someone who's been around the NBA, as someone who's moved players to the WNBA, Mitchell's not giving us 100%. Okay, and I saw that in the All-Star game, and ain't nobody going to convince me of that. Why? Because if you look at the stats, they don't show up. Doesn't show she gets rebounds. Mitchell doesn't get any steals, and her assists should be being the point guard for the Indiana Fever playing a two-man game with Caitlin Clark. Your assists should be 7, 8, 9 a game. Okay, I mean, obviously the relocation the players have to do. Now, here's the deal. Is it going to help with somebody who's going to get in there and is going to be more conducive, that is not trying to score as much? I mean, Mitchell's trying to score, but we got a 3, 4, 5 we need to score. We're playing an inside-out game in Indiana. So this is how it all comes down, folks. I can keep going and going and going, but I'm so happy, and I applaud Lin Dunn, okay? I applaud Lin Dunn for getting on the mic and speaking, okay? And for Lin Dunn, man, you know what? You got a vote of confidence to me because you know what? She's really taking the heat, but she can handle it, okay? You got to understand something about Lin Dunn, folks. Lin Dunn is in the Hall of Fame in the WNBA, okay? So you're not dealing with just an average person. You're dealing with somebody who knows what they're doing, right? And it's got some relationships, okay? And the whole Indiana Fever and the Indiana Pacers, you know, they orchestrated a trade and got Holly Burton out of Sacramento and changed the Pacers around. Okay, I'm going to tell you what a free agent. She talked about free agents. Okay, why would free agents come? Okay, Indiana Fever's made the investment. Now, when you get somebody who they know they're getting a superstar, they change the facilities, the practice arena. They've done everything. They've invested. They're invested in Caitlin knowing she's coming, and the other free agents, you're going to appreciate that. You got to have weights. You got to have strength and conditioning. There's more than just showing up and playing the basketball game. But I applaud Lin Dunn. I'm not, you know, I'm one of the people that says, hey, I get it. I applaud Christy Sides. Let me tell you why I applaud Christy Sides is Christy Sides had to eat the crow. Okay, you got to eat the crow. Because if you knew what you were doing in that first game and you got them in training camp and you came out with the same system, and folks, you could be in a wrong place, wrong time, wrong situation, wrong system, okay? And when they made that change, I commend her for accepting that. They're team. But folks, at the pro level, individuals win championships. I mean, we got to be honest about it. Individuals win championships. There's no doubt about it. And if you got the right player at the right time, you're going to win a championship. I mean, that's just where it is. Now, all teams don't always do it by a single player. That's the Lakers model, and they retool every year, okay? Now, the Indiana Fever, they're not trying to retool, and they're just trying to get better. But only thing I can go by is what I see. Now, what did I see between the Indiana Fever last year and the Indiana Fever this year? What changed? One player. Okay, one player changed the game, all right? So, and with the women, it's pride. Jealousy, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I mean, you don't like the color dress she's wearing. You don't like the color of her hair. You don't like her makeup. I mean, there's so much of that and just sticking with the game of basketball. And as far as the Olympics, that's another conversation because are you trying to grow the game or you're trying to grow the WNBA? That's two different things. Growing the game in women's basketball means you got college. NCAA basketball is the leader of growing the game. They've done it. They've earned it. They've been there, and they built it. Now, the WNBA is coming right behind that. They're trying to build off of that, but that's a different game. That's a different athlete. You're not dealing with a student athlete. You're dealing with a grown woman, okay? You're dealing with people who have different lifestyles, different inclusive lifestyles, okay? You're dealing with a lot of different things, okay? And this is not just about basketball. And I'm starting to feel that and understand that. Normally I cover pro sport. All I got to do is deal with the game. When they come to the WNBA, folks, I'll be honest, there's so much other stuff going on behind the game, so many other things said. And like I talked about Cheryl Swoops and global ambassadors, I mean, I've never heard the NBA players start talking about other players and different things. You just don't do it because at the end of the day, it doesn't grow the game. And, you know, I mean, this thing about waiting and see, I think really, here's what I believe. I think you need a limit. I think the WNBA needs to limit Olympians. Okay, because you can't have 9 players from 3 teams and you got 12 teams in the WNBA. You got 9 players from 3 teams. Okay, it doesn't make sense. There's nothing good. Okay, and then you come back and for the first year ever, the number 1 draft pick is not on the Olympic team. So you go back in the history of it. Somebody explain this to me because I can't even explain it to myself. How can you go in the history of the league and you look at that, you got, man, oh man, okay, we're going to do something this year. The WNBA number 1 draft pick's not going to be on it, okay? So that means if Paige Bucher's on it, you can forget about it. You got to wait your turn. Juju Watkins, you're going to have to wait your turn. And you got all these other women who are coming in this game are going to be in a log jam because it's not about your talent, okay? It's about what you do and who they like to do it. And that's something that everybody's going to have to get used to because it's different rules in the WNBA, and it's like, you know what? It's not about winning, okay? And it's about the best team, and you're orchestrating to win gold medals, and you're doing all this kind of stuff, right? And I'm going to close up, wrap it up. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We are powered up by Fanatics. I never seen anybody tell me the biggest story. And I believed it, but then when I saw it, I said, God, why did you guys do that? They told us, hey, this team we got to focus on the goal. We got to do all these things. Folks, you're winning by 50. You're winning by 50. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Japan, I love you, but it's a 6 foot and under league. I mean, you got to ask yourself, at the end of the day, can you do what's right for once? Can you do what's right for the children? Okay, because I want to know all those WNBA players, what is their relationship with children, kids, and what do they do for the community? Okay, because that's where the spotlight is. It's not just on the game, the ball. When you're off the game of basketball, what do you do for the community? That's much bigger. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We are powered up by Fanatics. Caitlinclark's going to be MVP, okay, and that's going to go down. She's training for it right now. I'm not worried about that. And the Indiana Fever, Lin Dunn, Christy Sides, they're going to get it done. And Christy Sides, as I said, I'll give it to you in advance. It's always my opinion, okay? But if my opinion turns into the truth, I've given you the facts way before they happen, and that's what I'm doing today. Lin Dunn, Christy Sides, they will be the coach of the year, GM of the year. They've orchestrated something, and second half is going to be absolutely exciting. You tune in to the second half of the Indiana Fever. I'm Money Mike, and this is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. We believe, love, and dream basketball and professional sports. So we'll see you soon. Enjoy the day. All things are possible to those who believe.